Okay, so I'm going to speak about the concepts of freedom, uh, liberty, and free will. And the reason for the album cover is because that's the Rush album cover that came out in 1980, January 7th, 1980, if I'm not incorrect or if I'm right. Um, and basically the idea is like, at least that I'm trying to express, is like you are born free. You, no matter who I'm talking to, everyone was born free. Even if they were a slave, they were born free. uh, they ended up obviously finding out real quick that they're not free, but God made you free, when you were born, and that was your birthright. So if anybody, like especially like a slave or something, they had their freedom taken from them very fast, and they found out things that that and ended up, you know, and like the rest of us, even if we're quote unquote free out in the world, away from that, we're basically like, we find out like you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, and then like you go through a phase where you're in your puberty years, teenage years, maybe a little beyond, and you start rebelling and demanding. Not everybody does this, but I did it pretty hard, real hard, to the point where like my parents figured out they can't tell me nothing. I basically demanded, what, this is my life, I will live it my way. I don't care if I don't get any help. I'll just figure it out. I was very audacious about that, and yeah, I just really I made my own rules. It's like this one YouTuber. She says something about me that was such a awesome compliment. She said, "Make mine plays his own game," and that's Mother Nature. She just got me figured out. Yeah, and she's pretty much similar. So we're, yeah, like that. But it doesn't matter. The point is that like you come to a point where you need liberty from the things that, like, your freedom that was taken from you. Okay, and but you realize that that's not always possible. And there is this thing in the Bible that I like called the perfect law of liberty, and if it's an English translation, but really it's the perfect law of freedom. It's really freedom. Like, it's not liberty, because liberty is something that's given to you or you demanded. Freedom is like what you were given to begin with. It's what God gave you. That's what basically my philosophy is, anyway. Liberty is like something you have to demand, or the ship captain gives you that, at port. Basically, they literally say that in the Navy. Like, my friend was in the Navy, and he told me, like, they give you liberty, which means you can leave the boat, and they'll say liberty for 48 hours. So you can leave the boat and do whatever in the town for 48 hours. So, you have no duties, basically. Uh, so that's that. Okay. The third concept is free will. And that's like the ultimate expression of freedom. And I found this interesting because during the coronavirus stuff, I was really into Twitter, like, all the time. I was using it all day and really wasting my time, like, too much. Not getting anything done. But it was the corona stuff. I was like, all shook up. And, like a lot of people were, obviously. And I kind of like ended up befriending this like Catholic dude. And there's two kinds of people that have this problem with free will. And I find it interesting. It's devout Catholics and commies, basically both of them. And the commies will tell me you don't have free will. You're just they have like this. I think it's called determinism. You're just gonna do what you do. It's already set in stone. So you might as well just like join the commies and That's it, And I don't like that for a second, right? I'm a socialist, but I believe people have a right to determine how their life should live. We just need to like tax things to make it so that like the people that fall through the cracks get taken care of. But obviously, anyone should be able to choose their profession, their destiny, whatever it is that their passion is, like obviously, But communists will literally tell you, at least some, that you don't have free will. You're just gonna do whatever, like you're like an insect, and like I'm like that's disgusting. Like I can't believe that flaw. How would you live thinking like that? Like it doesn't. And then the Catholics are interesting too because in this one story, um, and I always get into this problem with the Catholic. I'll make a friend with them. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. And then I'll find out they either like are just rabid Jew haters, which I can't stand. I mean, I don't care if you tell a Jew joke now and again, but they just like hate Jews like with a passion, and it'll come out at some point. Like give them some alcohol, or the other thing that happened to me that was interesting because I brought up this song "Free Will" by Rush, which I thought was an awesome song with a great philosophy and behind it. Neil Peart, I believe he was like an atheist or something, but he had interesting philosophies, and he was into like Ayn Rand and libertarianism and stuff like that. And I liked the song "Free Will" because it's like if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. You can choose this, you can choose that. I'm choosing free will. And I felt that way. I feel this way to this day. And the Catholic person got mad at me and said that he called it a non surveillum. Like, he said that, like, I'm basically saying I'm defying God and I'm, like, joining Lucifer. And, well, first of all, Lucifer is not Satan. So, that I have learned over the years. Like, because I was told that when I was growing up, but I've learned that that's not true. And then, second, if you don't have free will, how could you give it to God in the first place? It was given to you. So, yeah, your free will could be used for good or ill, and you'll pay the consequences for it. So, that's my view on it. And free will is ultimately what we end up with. Like, what I'm talking about is like you start out as a baby with total freedom, you lose it because you grow up. Yeah, you demand liberty as you get like frustrated with growing up, and then when you get to like a certain age, you just go like, I have to have free will, and this is basically true for every human being on this planet, in my opinion. And Neil Peart wrote the song where I will choose free will, and it means like I'm gonna choose to do at least what's within my power to do what I want. You may not have every option available to you, but I will choose free will. And I don't believe God up in heaven is mad at that. And I believe it's a beautiful song by Rush. And like, but I did want to draw a distinction between freedom and liberty because like they are different. And yeah, and when I hear about the perfect law of liberty in the Bible, it's a translation that's I wouldn't call it an error, but it's not like I looked it up. It's close. The word is closer to freedom, and so it's like the perfect law of freedom or something. But I like go ahead and use the word liberty because Americans like the word liberty because it resonates with us. So I'll just stick with that. But so I'm not gonna like change that or try to like rewrite the Bible. But but yeah, choosing free will is like basically all you got because everything's like being taken from us in terms of like all the doors keep slamming in front of us on different things. And so in any case where you can exercise your free will, which can mean saying no to something or it can mean saying I'm going to do this anyway and you're not hurting anybody and you're not breaking some crazy law, you know, um you should consider it because it's a good idea to you have free will, and a lot of people lost it just growing up. So that's my that's my opinion, and you're entitled to it.